It's Matt from the morning after, and it's a bit of a bummer that we can't have this guy in studio because we would have had him in studio, leading up to the premiere of this show on Discovery Plus. Happy to be joined by Steve Shippy, who you know from Haunted Saginaw, who you know from Haunted in the Heartland. And Steve, first off, thanks for taking the time to talk before the show premieres tomorrow.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. I wish I could be there in person.
Yeah, no, it would be, and sooner or later, man, we'll be able to have you back in studio. I know you guys, you always got so much going on, so we'll certainly have you when we can have you back in studio. We will. I think the last time that you and I talked at length was right after the first season of Hunting in the Heartland had wrapped up, and it was the beginning of the pandemic, and you weren't exactly sure if the relationship with the Travel Channel was going to continue, if the show would be, you kind of were in flux. You didn't know what was going to happen. I remember you sending me a text saying, I have this opportunity. I have this chance to do something cool. And now who knows what's going to happen. So right. It's pretty awesome to see that you're doing this.
Yeah. It definitely was that, man. It was, Haunting in the Heartland came out and it was getting excellent ratings, great social media response. Everything's going well. And then, nobody could anticipate in the world what was about to happen. This virus comes along, quarantines, lockdowns, needless to say, that affects everything, you know what I mean? To the point where, sadly, I'm sure we both know many people that lost their businesses, and it's terrible. And unfortunately for me, my first opportunity to come out with my own series launches right in the middle of this. So wasn't really sure what was going to happen. I think the industry as a whole for a while didn't even know if we could film or how we could resume filming. And it really wasn't until I think the end of summer that people were starting to get their bearings. How could they ensure this? What's the safety protocol? We all had to wait for all of these things. And so now it's starting again and people are able to get back out in the field and film, whether that be any type of reality TV or for us, paranormal investigating, really film as a whole. But the great part about it is, Travel Channel talked to me the whole way through and let me know, we really love you. We want to keep you here as part of the Discovery family. We will figure this out. And then one day I get this phone call and they said, what do you know about Ed Gein? And I said, well, where would you like me to begin? Because I've studied this guy for years. I'm a huge Alfred Hitchcock fan, horror film fan. And, I watch a lot of ID discovery crime type things. And so I just started spewing off all these different facts about who Ed Gein was, what he was known for. And they were like, okay, we thought you were perfect for it. Now we know. And we are going to send you out to investigate this case. And, yeah, I felt that there's some serendipity there because, it was the right case for me, I believe. So
the special is Ed Gein, The Real Psycho. It premieres on Discovery Plus coming up tomorrow. And I'll be the first to admit that I've sort of have some streaming fatigue because there are so many networks that have their own different platforms now. And there's so many different things you can do and things like that. So a lot of the content that I see out there doesn't get me excited. But when I saw not only that you would be hosting it, but that it would be about Ed Gein, who is, for those that don't know, some of the greatest horror movie characters of all time are based off of the idea of Ed Gein and what he did. Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Norman Bates in Psycho and Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs are all sort of based around Ed Gein. He was a bad dude. And for people that maybe don't know about Ed Gein, can you kind of just go through a few of the things that will sort of explain what Ed Gein was all about and why did he become sort of this guy that became a point of reference for horror movies?
Sure. Yeah. So, I could go really deep, but to kind of generalize it, Ed Gein was a very strange, quirky individual, very quiet. From all the research we've done, sadly for him, I say sadly, despite the fact he evolved into a monster when he was a child and innocent, he was abused by his mother. He went through a lot of psychological problems. His father was a severe alcoholic. He also, I believe, from my interpretation, he may have had some learning disabilities. And ultimately, all these things kind of added to a mental health deterioration. And the only person in his life at the end was his mother. When his mother passed away, he basically just lost it. That was the last toxic relationship that he had. And then at that point, he completely lost it. And I believe that he was trying to fulfill that void with his mother, and he started to target women that looked physically like his mother. And it kind of started off with him going out to the cemetery and exhuming bodies of freshly deceased women that met the criteria, bringing them back to his house. You know, just saying it like it is, he would hang them up, he would skin them, he would take their skin and he would make things like lampshades and upholster chairs with it. Then it graduated, I should say, to the point where he was sewing a skin suit and actually dressing up as a woman using their actual body parts and dancing around the woods at nights as to not be seen by any of the neighbors. Hence kind of the Leatherface Texas Chainsaw reference there. And then it graduated from that point to actually murdering women. Two for sure he was convicted of, Bernice Worden and Mary Hogan. And it's a very sad, tragic, and pretty disgusting culmination of all that Ed Gein was.
So up until this point, cameras had not been allowed on the Gein property in Wisconsin. What's it like to be the first film crew allowed on that location to be able to film there?
Ominous, a little hair raising. You know, when we got there, I remember there's almost a feeling that kind of comes over you when you kind of park off that 2-track road and you're opening that gate and you step foot onto the property and you're realizing, you know, what happened here. There's, you know, rumors that there could be more victims, which certainly would make sense, and probably somewhere on the land there. And plus just all the things that took place that we knew that happened. The community, they haven't healed, you know, from it either. So we had some, you know, I don't want to give away too much, but we did have some encounters with locals that really weren't too happy with our presence there, you know, potentially reopening the wound. But, you know, sad to say for them that, you know, that case isn't going to go anywhere. You know, you're talking how many years has it been? And it's always going to be kind of a stain on Plainfield, Wisconsin. But it was great to be given access to go out on the property and try to validate, is this true? You know, these passerbyers that are going by on the county roads, they're seeing apparitions of women, they're seeing different things. You know, is there really activity taking place? And that's what we were sent in to find out.
So when you get to the Gein property, what did you guys hope to find? What did you guys hope to learn?
Well, you know, I guess for me personally as an investigator, I'm looking for all sorts of things. Obviously, we're trying to find out, is it haunted? Is our gear going to pick up anything? Are we going to see, sense, hear anything? But also just kind of looking at the land. You know, the house was burned down, an arsonist did burn the home down. And were we going to find any remnants of it? And we did. We did find pieces of the original home, old chicken wire from the farm, lots of different, you know, things that let us know that we were exactly at the right places according to the old maps. And we definitely got a lot of responses with our equipment. We brought in a very well-known psychic medium, Cindy Keza, known for the show The Holzer Files on Travel Channel. That was the first time that we paired up. She had a lot of overwhelming experiences with what she does, but for what I do, using gear and technology and my investigative approach, we can certainly say it's definitely haunted, you know, without a doubt.
As you mentioned, you weren't on the trip alone. Cindy Keza was there, and I was sort of reading about the show, which will premiere on Discovery Plus tomorrow. She said that tapping into the energy of Ed Gein will haunt her for the rest of her life, which is, I mean, for a medium who's been doing this for a while, to say that is pretty remarkable, and it makes it seem like you guys kind of stumbled in some pretty scary stuff when you were in Wisconsin.
We did, you know, and you know, and I'm always trying to walk that fine line to not reveal too much, but you know, true to Ed Gein's nature, out of the two of us, he was definitely, there was something there that was definitely targeting her more, which makes sense because, you know, all of his victims were female, and she kind of anticipated that was a possibility. And also it makes sense too, because with Cindy being a medium, she's seeing all of these things that are happening. With me, I'm seeing only what I'm seeing with my visual eye or what my thermal cam or my SLS is showing me, but she's experiencing these things mentally. So I do believe that it's going to linger with her a lot longer.
So since you've been doing this for, you know, 20 plus years at this point, where does this rank in terms of all of the other investigations you've done, whether it's the stuff you've done here locally or the Haunting in the Heartland stuff. I mean, obviously, in terms of name alone, I mean, Ed Gein's got to be on the top of the list. But with everything you saw, what you found, where does it rank with all of the other investigations you've done?
You know, being 100% honest about it, I do think it ranks right up there in the top. You know, anyone that would be viewing this that would know my previous investigations, to me, it would be of the realm of a Dice Road, Hell House, Finn Road, in the sense of there's kind of obviously there's a lot of activity, but there's a very foreboding, ominous sense of you know, danger, of I don't want to say maybe spiritual attack, you know what I mean? There's something darker there, you know, for sure. And just as you watch the investigation unfold and all the different things that we encountered and something that we located and brought back to the farm to see what would happen, it got pretty out of control, to say the least. Yeah,
we don't want to spoil it. We want people to watch it when it premieres on Discovery Plus coming up tomorrow. So people will have the chance to watch that. Ed Gein, The Real Psycho, premiering on Discovery Plus. I may have said Disney Plus a few times now that I think about it.
I don't think so.
Okay, all right, good. It'll be, yeah, that would be totally different. It'll premiere on Discovery Plus coming up tomorrow. I know you've got a lot of other things going on. You're a guy that has a ton of different irons in the fire. Before we talk about what's going on with Haunted Saginaw, where everything stands with that, do you have anything else going on with the Travel Channel? Is there a plan for the Haunting in the Heartland season 2? I mean, I know, like I said, when we talked last time, you didn't know where things were going to go. I assume that, you know, having this happen with them means, and you said you're going to be in the fold, you're going to be a part of the Travel Channel family. Do you have some other things planned with them?
We have a lot of things in the works. You know, there is some talk about a Haunting in the Heartland return. There's also revisiting something that I've done with Haunted Saginaw in our area. They're looking pretty seriously at right now with another shock doc. And also there seems to be a consensus that Cindy and I worked really well together. And I think that maybe there are some possibilities there. Cindy and I did work very well together. We built an excellent rapport, and I wouldn't be surprised if her and I will continue to do some investigating in tandem on the network.
And of course, everybody here locally knows you for, you know, Haunted Saginaw, hauntedSaginaw.com. Obviously, you know, unfortunately, last year you weren't able to keep that string of premieres going that you had. It would have been the 10th year or 11th year premiere?
11th.
It would have been the 11th in 2020. And I'm not sure how things are looking for 2021. So are you going to have a premiere this year? Will there be a movie in 2021? Where do things kind of stand with Haunted Saginaw?
Well, we're waiting to find out. It's kind of, it's tumultuous in the sense of every time that we think we know where things are going, we see that there's a surge in COVID cases. And then you kind of think, you know, are we going to get to a point where they're going to take that capacity down again, or what's going to happen? But what I can say that is for certain and very positive is we've made a tremendous use of this time. Last year would have been the 11th Haunted Saginaw documentary in the film series. But right now we're on the 13th investigation film and continuing. So as soon as that can start up again, we can immediately go back to what we were doing. And we're actually pretty far ahead. I've also been making a lot of use of Patreon. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but a lot of the Haunted Saginaw fans over the years say, man, you know, waiting a whole year, it's awful. We want to see more. We want more content. So what's interesting about Patreon is we're actually showing each and every investigation that we do from the beginning to the end. When people see our finished documentary, they're seeing virtually the very best of condensed 80 minutes from 3 months of investigating. You know, and I think that's what makes Haunted Saginaw Haunted Saginaw. That's what we do. I don't know anybody else in paranormal that will investigate one location for 3 to 4 to 5 months consecutively. And so with people that follow us on Patreon, they're able to see everything. Every interview, every investigation that we do, and we're putting out a new episode every 2 weeks throughout the entire year. So that's one thing that we are doing to allow, you know, our supporters to continue to journey with us. But as far as the films go, they will definitely start rolling out. And you know what, bro? Like, if it gets to the point where, you know, this COVID thing becomes such a regular part of our life and it shuts down the premiere again, then we're going to have another alternative, right? We can't just keep going this long. So maybe it's a pay-per-view online thing. Whatever it is, it's time for us to start releasing again. And we're hoping that this might be the year, one way or the other.
And it's interesting that you mentioned the Patreon, because, you know, a lot of people just thought, okay, well, everything's shut down, nothing's happening. You have continued to churn out content. Nothing has stopped for you, whether it was doing the Ed Gein, you know, investigation, or just continuing to do what you do. All of your content has continued, has been refreshed throughout the pandemic. You haven't stopped.
No, actually, I've done substantially more filming and investigating than I ever have, by far. I've just been using this time to do as much as I possibly can. And, you know, and I'm glad that I have, because I know that once we're able to start releasing things, maybe we can get to the point where we can put out 2 films a year and people don't have to wait so long. You know, and also I believe a lot of more opportunities are going to be coming with the Discovery and / travel family. And I think a lot is coming. And just hopefully in general, for everyone's sake, I hope that, you know, between the vaccinations and things, you know, happening now, we can get back to normal, you know, for all of us, you know.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we want to be able to get back to normal. We're separated in the studio. One of us is in the studio, one's not. We're doing everything weird too. So we're all looking forward to being back together and being able to do premieres and see all the stuff that you're doing. I'm looking forward to checking out the Ed Gein investigation tomorrow. I mean, as I mentioned, you know, a lot of this content that's out there doesn't, you know, there's just so much out there. And when I saw that you were doing this, man, I was like, ooh, that's exciting. I mean, just the horror film fan in me, knowing the connection from Ed Gein to all these different characters that I love, to know that you're the guy that got to go investigate it is pretty amazing.
Definitely. And if you ever want to know some inside stuff, man, feel free to call me and I'll tell you. I was able to go through a lot of things, you know, all the archives, all the police reports, the different confessions, you know, obviously all of that couldn't make it in, but I spent a lot of personal time out there learning more and more and more about Gein.
It's pretty amazing. The documentary, The Investigation, will premiere. The Shock Doc will premiere on Discovery Plus coming up tomorrow. Obviously, it's a subscription service. You can check that out. If you want to find out everything else that Steve has got going on, HauntedSaginaw.com is the website. You've got the story, you've got the Patreon. And yeah, I think we're all keeping our fingers crossed that we'll have a premiere in 2021. And if not, I mean, it sounds like you're banking movies, and we'll have a lot to do. Once everything opens up, we'll have so many premieres to do, so many events to do. You'll have a ton of stuff to crank out.
It's going to be a lot. Yeah, we're ready.
Awesome. Steve, man, I appreciate it, dude. I know you're busy, so I appreciate you for taking the time to do this, and looking forward to watching the Shock Doc tomorrow.
For sure. It's always an honor to be a part of this, man. Anytime.